Hey guys, it's me here, Amelia Singer, for another sip and story time with Orin Swift. And today we are going to be focusing on a wine which has literally just hit the UK markets, Advice from John. Now, for those of you who don't know too much about Orin Swift, it's an amazing company which was created in Napa by the awesome and innovative Dave Finney. And he makes all kinds of wines, but the wines, as well as being opulent and hedonistic, tend to have just as evocative labels. And there's always a story behind them, like this one. So this is called Advice from John. I must admit, I at first thought John was a person. And then, even though I was half American, the bathroom reference was kind of lost on me. So yeah, in the States, people refer to the bathroom as the John. And the reason why it is called this relates to the label, as most of his wines do. So now, if I'm getting to the backside, I mean the backstory of this wine. This label here had me at hell no. This comes from Samantha Smith, who is Dave's assistant. They've been really good friends, and she's worked with him for about 15 years, indispensable for Dave. And when she first started working with him, whenever she'd go off on these trips, he's like, oh, where are you going? And she's like, oh, I'm going to Austin, I'm going to New Orleans. He's like, that sounds cool, what do you do there? And she's like, oh, well, I'm working on a book. I'm taking basically pictures of bathrooms and dive bars, because I just find the graffiti and the messages like really cool. And she's like, no way. So this would happen periodically for about 6 or 7 years. And then she has eventually kind of compiled this amazing book with thousands and thousands of photos with all of these different messages. And actually, I think some of the messages come from bathrooms in Ireland. I lived in Ireland for 4 years. I can attest that there are some interesting things on bathroom walls there. And Dave was so impressed, and I've seen it online. She's going to be sending me a copy. It's just really cool. But after this had been made into a book, she actually then had some of the images blown up and put like kind of a metal background and neon lights just to really make them pop. And a lot of these hang now in the tasting rooms they have in St. Helena. And about 4 years ago, Dave saw Hell No, and you have it Hell No on the wall. And he's like, this is really cool. And he's always constantly thinking about interesting labels. And so he asked Samantha's permission if he could actually use that particular image for his next wine. And she was like, absolutely yes. So he was really excited because he actually creates lots of labels himself. It's normally his story, but he was actually really excited to be able to have his friend's collaboration on this one and really champion someone who he adores and her work. But also, it's kind of resonates with the Orin Swift's kind of rebellious spirit, that they kind of champion underdogs, they zag where others zig. And this is mainly made from the Merlot grape, which recently has not had the best press. If anyone saw the film Sideways, that pretty much killed the grape variety for the last 20 years. And so much of it has been grubbed up and everyone's really, really snooty about it. But Dave actually adores that grape. He grew up cutting his teeth working with that grape. The vineyards where he met his wife, that was their main grape. And so he really wanted to kind of put a new spin, a new face, a new vision of Merlot out there. And this Hell No very much is a hell no to kind of prejudices and snobbery around certain grapes or wine styles. So what is it? As I said, it's like 77% Merlot, and there's like a little bit of Petite Sirah for extra kind of tannin and structure. Grenache kind of rounds out, gives it plumpness. And then you also have a little bit of Syrah itself, which kind of gives it more kind of earthy notes. But Dave really wanted this to be mainly Merlot because he loves it so much, and he actually thinks that on its own, it's fantastic. There's certain grapes which he loves working with, like Petite Sirah, but on its own, it's quite like one-dimensional and in your face. Whereas the great thing about Merlot is it can take on many different facets. Some of the hillsides in Napa, it gives more kind of Cabernet vibes from like the bedrock or cooler climates. You kind of get racy acidity. So this wine here is actually made using Merlot from 4 different vineyard plots to really kind of bring out all of these different personalities to Merlot. So I'll go for a little bit of my usual swirly, swirly, sniffy, sniffy, slurpy, slurpy. Not quite technical terms they teach you at wine school, but yeah, on the nose, you're getting kind of the characteristic hedonistic opulence you associate with Orin Swift, the kind of blackberries, mulled plums. But there is a lovely kind of floral element, like some people say lilac. I also pick up anise spice too. There's a real lovely spiciness there. And then on the palate, so I'm just like hugging myself because this wine is literally like a hug in a glass. Absolutely, as soon as it hits the palate, you get all of those ripe, opulent, mulled black fruits. But you do get, if you wanted a kind of slightly fresher Merlot, and you do get a juiciness there. You get kind of orange peel, licorice. And then as it opens up and on the finish, you almost kind of get these like mocha espresso beans coming out. So it is really, really gorgeous wine, perfect for this time of year. When I asked Dave how he enjoys drinking it, he's actually like, I love it on its own. And I can so imagine later on putting on my slippers and, you know, tucking into my crime thriller, but being soothed by this in a glass. But he also said that when he was making this wine for the first time ever, he really had a vision of making a sessionable wine. He wanted to create a wine which would fool people into reaching for another glass. And so this is actually only available in restaurants, and it's just hit the UK this week. We're having a big event with sommeliers and things to get them excited. And it's meant to be just something which stands on its own. It'll be great with food, but it is meant to be just like a really easy, blissful by the glass option for restaurants. However, if you're following me on Instagram, you'll be able to win 2 bottles of this wine, which is not usually available to the public, plus its awesome skate deck. As those of you who follow Orin Swift, most of you know that Dave loves skates and puts all of his labels onto skate decks. Now there are no wheels on this, so it is Amelia proof, and I kind of go for the artwork option, and actually this will work beautifully in my bathroom. But yeah, for the daredevils amongst you, you can actually just put some wheels on and it works well. So if you're interested in entering that competition, just check out my Instagram, which is Amelia's_wine, because otherwise it looks like Amelia Swine. Not a great look. And yeah, so it's very, very simple. But if you don't want to enter the competition, you don't do Instagram, you just need to track down one of these really cool restaurants which serve it by the glass. So I hope this has been a fun little sip and story time. And remember, people, don't taste and skate.